Ooh, I'm nervous. Are you nervous? It's gonna be all right. Haley, hello.
Hey.
Hey, what's poppin'? How are you?
I'm good. Don't be nervous.
Oh my god, I'm embarrassed that you saw that.
Don't don't be. Are you doing okay? This is a really weird time.
It is. I mean, I got my fiance. Thank you for asking, by the way. I mean, I live with my fiance and her brother's here
Oh,
too, and
good.
I got my version
Oh,
of Alf here.
oh my God. Oh, look, here's Alfie's taking a little snooze too.
Okay, so I got some questions about Alf and your time
Yeah,
in quarantine.
yeah.
Has Alf been enjoying having you around all the time?
Oh, this is the best time of his whole entire existence, I think. He's like fully owning this moment in time, and I like honestly was just about to have to figure out all the logistics of taking care of him, while going on a tour.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out like how do I bring him. We're playing much smaller rooms. Like I felt like I chose to put him in a more difficult situation, so I was trying to sort that out, and obviously now there's nothing really to sort out. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm so happy that I'm home with him, but I'm a little sad that I'm not leaving for tour soon.
No, for sure. Um, so Petals for Armor, the
Mm-hmm.
album, not the tour experience. We'll get there,
Okay.
but the solo endeavor. It's glitchy, it's funky, it's jazzy, it's sparse, all at the same time. Take us through that creative process. How did you arrive at that sound? 'Cause it's so different.
Man, I feel like I fell into it over and over again. I'm really I'm really thankful for that whole process because it was very new. It wasn't really the way that we've created Paramore albums in the past. So much of it came from like me singing first or like putting forth some sort of vocal or sound,
Mhm.
that came from my body first, which to me gives the album much more of an earthy and sparse feeling because everything is just very felt like that. It's not all synthesized. But then of course we built around it, and I got really excited about different influences that inspire me, like Bjork or the new Tom York record. That are, I think glitchy is a great word for it. Actually, they have such a character.
But it's still smooth. I think glitchy can be. It gives you like that dubstep, like wow, wow, like
Oh,
kind of sound.
right, right.
But it's controlled chaos. And um, did I hear that so you would sing something and then you guys turned it into a synth? Did you
Yeah,
guys
we
do
did
that?
that a lot. We used a few different vocal processors and like samplers that kind of would run through. We ran it through a Prophet or a Juno,
Mhm.
like synthesizer, and we had a lot of fun with that. And also I have to give Taylor a lot of credit for that stuff because I'm certainly no engineer. Like I don't love that part of the studio, but he has a really great studio at his house, and we just experimented. Like we just messed around with any piece of gear that he bought or anything that he had collected over time and found new ways to use all of it.
In your experience making the album, what was your favorite piece of gear that was used for
Mm.
Petals for?
Oh wow. My Casio Digi guitar.
I
It's
love
like it's so old and it's just from eBay. It cost me like $300, which if you're a gearhead, you know that that's like a penny compared to like what some of these things are worth. I was like so pumped on that because I I joke that like for me using a computer or any piece of gear that's like very technical is like I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. Like I need a button. Like I need like
Yeah.
a thing that says power record, like and I'm ashamed of it because it does help me actually when I'm put in front of something that's a little bit more technical. Like there are no rules for me because I'm just discovering it. So um the best part of all of this was that having Taylor and Carlos around to have made multiple records with, obviously, was kind of like them giving me permission to like use everything like a playground.
That's great, and that's with these old pieces of gear. It's fun to take an old like Moog synth or something, and then
Mm.
break it, and then see like not break it like break it, but
Right, right, right.
how can I use this for something it wasn't supposed to be used for, and create something
Yes.
new?
Yes.
So I love the droplets of that in Petals for Armor.
Thank you.
I've noticed in multiple interviews you refer to this album and chapter as necessary. Why do you say that?
Some of that might just be my need to compartmentalize so that I can understand more. But the way that this was originally going to be seeded out to people is we were going to put out part 1 in the dead of winter, actually in December. We pushed it back to the end of January later on, but then part 2 was going to come out at the top of spring, and at the end of spring, right before summer, part 3 would come out, so it could really actually bloom, you know? And it kind of still works that way. Like, we put out Simmer, and a lot of those songs, like in the bleakest part of winter, especially in Nashville, like January is the most depressing month in Nashville that there ever was. And I liked being able to put out things that were conceptually heavier and emotionally heavier, you know, in a time of, you know, in a season that really actually feels heavier for me. And then let that open up and lead into stories about my life that are a little bit more hopeful. But the thing that I'm also learning about releasing these things in parts, and now especially that we're in this pandemic, I feel like all of it is happening all the time. And what I mean by that is like the heaviness that I feel, whether that, you know, whether I call it by its name and say depression, or whether it's like me feeling really positive and like I'm embodying myself and I'm trying to thrive and grow. Like, I think all of it's happening at once, you know, and it really can't be separated out.
I love it. When Simmer first came, I love the thought behind it. That was very dismissive.
No, I liked it. It was really nice.
When Simmer first came out, so it was snowing that day in Minnesota, and it's the same thing, except, you know, much colder. And
Yeah.
I remember, like, I was hearing the snare rolls as the snow hit my windshield driving to work. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful, even in like the darkest type of way. Warren Fu has been your visual partner in crime for all this.
Yeah.
And all the videos. He has ties to the Star Wars universe. He did the concept art for General Grievous. Have you ever been creatively inspired by Star Wars?
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
Love Star Wars. I think that because I'm just as emo gets, some would say I'm an OG emo. I hate when people call themselves un-emo. It's like, that's not a thing.
Embrace it.
I'm trying. But what I relate to most and what I love the most is actually just the real storyline, the character arcs, what's happening in the dialogue, like all of those, you know, not like, I think it's obviously a brilliant film in terms of the visual aspects, and obviously that, like, what's gone into all of those films from the very beginning is just like revolutionary and innovative. But I still am just a sucker for like the character arcs. I'm a sucker for light and dark and metaphor and all of that, and I like, that is what I'm constantly writing into my music, because I feel like everyone is a good guy and everyone is a bad guy all the time.
I love that duality. And let's be honest, Kylo Ren would love Paramore. He would love Hayley Williams.
Sick.
Would you be a Jedi or a Sith? Or both? There's a gray Jedi concept in extended canon, if you want to be both.
I like your style. Okay, honestly, oh, sorry, I dropped you.
It's all good.
I think part 1 would be Sith, and part 2 would be just, gray. Like,
well, I think it would be light. I think you're the balance. You're the Anakin. You're Anakin. You're Kylo.
Shit! What? Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I'm really into that. I love where this is going. I love where this is going so much.
I can't wait to see. All right, part 3, Petals for Armor. John Williams is scoring it. How have your influences, hard turn right now.
Okay.
A lot of people are asking about how your influences have evolved from the genesis of Paramore to now. Have you seen a shift in where you find inspiration?
Yeah, well, yes and no, actually, because there are some things that are very constant for me, and they're comforts. I think bands like Me Without You, which
Mhm.
Paramore were inspired by early on, they've been one of my favorite bands from day one. Um, Great band. If anyone doesn't know Me Without You, amazing band. But also Bjork too. Like I loved her at 12 years old. When I first heard Human Behavior, it like really took my breath. I couldn't
It's mind
understand.
opening.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean this is like, why have I been listening to, I don't know, like at the time I was probably 12 when I first heard her, and only a year prior I was listening to like NSYNC or something. And it was just very mind opening and life altering for me. So she's been a constant, but I think more so with this project, you know, the sonics and the sounds that she chooses were always top of mind for me. I was always thinking like, you know, about the sound quality, and thankfully I had an amazing team around me that are good at that. You know, they're like, I'm not an engineer, like I said, but
Mhm.
I'm inspired by good sound. And you know, also Tom York, he put out a record called Anima last year that really really affected me to my core. It was just emotional, it was political, it felt just perfectly timed, and it inspired me, you know. But now that we've been in quarantine and we've all been kind of seeking out deep comforts, I've found myself listening to a lot of the same stuff that I listened to at 12 and 13 when the guys and I met and we started making music. Bands like Kent, who I covered originally on my Instagram, they're a Swedish band. You know, a lot of cool like New York punk, like Yeah Yeah Yeahs, The Rapture, just good, you know, melodic but ratty kind of sounding stuff.
But I love that you keep going back to duality and how these things can coexist together. That's awesome.
Yes, yes.
We got to wrap up here. So that's the last
Okay, okay,
question. We could
okay.
go on like a 9-hour podcast and everyone
Hmm.
would watch and love it. Do you have a particular? We miss you here in Minnesota. I missed your
uh,
show here a few years ago. We
uh,
all do. Would you? What is your favorite Minnesota memory? Do you have one that sticks
oh,
out?
dude, if you only, if, well, if we had time for me to go into all the Minnesota memories, I do. The guys can never believe how vivid my memory is of all of, you know, Paramore shows over the
Mhm.
last 10, 15 years. But some of my favorites have been, let's see. So Minneapolis has always been kind of super cool in terms of the bands that come out of it, like Now Now, Every Children, which is now called Now Now.
Mhm.
Um, we met Now Now in like 2008 or 9 and became pretty good friends with Casey and Brad, and they toured with us. But I remember them coming out to one of the shows we opened for No Doubt, and it was like 4th of July. We had such a good hang at one of their homes, and then they came to the show, and like we hung forever after the show. I just really, yeah, I miss Minneapolis. I do.
Well, next time you're here, you, your crew, the band, there's a pizza shop right up the street from the station. I got you. It's on me. I can write it off. It's fine.
Thank you.
Hayley, thanks for taking the time. Have a good day, all right?
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.